In 1983, we got orders to move to Germany. We were so excited. Our children were 3 and 5, and so childishly, they had no idea about all the adventures that were waiting for us. We had 3 batches of packers to get us there. The first ones put things in storage. The second one sent by air things that we would need immediately when we arrived. And the third sent them on a slow boat to Germany that came later. Thank goodness I am a compulsive planner and list maker, and we got everything in the right place and we're ready to go. My husband had to go first because there wasn't housing on the base, and so he had to secure a home for us off base, and then we followed him. My children and I arrived. They were 3 and 5, as I said, and we went out to a village named Hermersburg. It was very rural, and our landlords were lovely. We lived in a 2-story apartment that was connected to their apartment, their home, that was connected to their toy store that they owned. Thank goodness it was on a corner, because our children never really knew what that was, that store, and we avoided that corner at all costs. They loved our children. We lived on the 2nd floor. The door to our home was on the 2nd floor, and we looked out on this beautiful yard with a flower garden and a vegetable garden that they allowed us to share with them. And they loved our children and wanted to spoil them. But there was one catch, that they didn't speak one word of English, and we knew Guten Tag and Dankeschön, so that's about all we could speak. But we pointed and did our version of charades, and we got along pretty well until our salvation came in the form of Herr Schön. Our landlords, Herr and Frau Bernhardt, had lived in this little village all their lives, and Herr Schön was a big, barrel-chested, happy German man who, in World War II, had been a prisoner of war in Mississippi, Alabama, and he had learned some English. So he was delighted to come over and translate for us. And we had the best times. We got our business done, and we visited through Herr Schön and drank some beer, and we always had fun when he would come over, whether we spoke the same language or not. My 5-year-old daughter started kindergarten, another German word. Kinder is child, and garden is kind of a fun place to be. And she rode this huge bus into school every day. It was so big that it had accordion pleats in the middle, so it could make the turns in these tiny little villages. And so she rode the bus to school every day, and it was pretty hard to put her on that big old bus the first day, but by the time it got to school, it was full of children, and they were mostly happy to be going to school. One of the things we noticed about the houses when we moved to Hermersburg was that most of the houses were 2-story, and the bottom story was empty, like a huge garage is the only thing we could imagine it would be. Until the first afternoon, we saw the farmers and the shepherds moving their cattle and their sheep into town and underneath the houses where they were sheltered and kept warm at night. And we loved it, that beautiful parade of those cows coming in and going out the next morning, and their bells around their necks alerted us to the parade that was coming. We were always excited. So Nathan and I, my son and I, would walk our daughter to the bus every morning, and we had to go a couple of blocks, and we always had an adventure, as it usually is with 3 and 5-year-olds. And one morning we walked out onto the landing, and I'm paying attention to getting the children out of the door, and all of a sudden we hear wham and a shriek, and then wham again. And it was kind of shocking to me, but I'd been hurting children. I hadn't really paid attention. What was happening, the Bernhardts, our landlords, were butchering a pig in the backyard, and we had heard and probably witnessed this pig's demise with a sledgehammer right between the eyes. Emily was, I didn't see it, but I felt Emily pushing me out of the way to get back in the house, and Nathan just trying so hard to get out so he could see what was happening. It was just bedlam. So So we finally got ourselves together. Emily would not go down the stairs to get to school, but I finally got her down, and she had her face in my dress and walked sideways down the steps so she couldn't see anything, and Nathan was just like, what is it, and let me get there. By the time we got back from the bus, the pig was hanging by its back legs, and they were doing what you do when you slaughter a pig. And Nathan begged to spend time down there with the family. And they were so happy to see us, and their whole family was there and invited us to join them. I am more in the Emily department than the Nathan department when it comes to slaughtering pigs. So I declined. Besides, there were a lot of sharp instruments, and he would have, it was just dangerous. We didn't really, and we would have been in the way, and I say we because I didn't want to be down there during that point. So the rest of the morning was Nathan begging to go outside and me saying, no, I'm sorry, we can't go down. So a couple of hours later, we left to go get Emily off the bus, and they were doing what you do with an animal, working very hard, and they even let Nathan stay with them while I went to get Emily, so he was fine. He was very happy. We came back, and Emily didn't want to go up the stairs again, but she made it. I told her everything was fine. And the rest of the day, the bottom of their home was not for live animals, it was their butchering area and their preparation area. So they spent the whole day down there, the whole family, and they invited us over that evening to share some of their Blutwurst that was very fresh. Blutwurst, blood sausage. Mm-hmm. I've never been prejudiced against any person or any food, and I'm always willing to try something once. But that one time was plenty enough for me with Blutwurst. But we had a wonderful time, and we're so happy to be included in their family and their normal lives. So that was our most memorable time in Hermersburg, and about a year later, we moved on to the base, which was more our culture. But we never stopped exploring Germany. We never stopped learning, and Nathan kind of took that day as his initiation into the German culture, and this little guy would walk in front of us every place we went and Guten Tag to every person he saw. Thank you. Oh. We did a lot of exploring and belt buckle tours, as my husband called them, because that's all the children could see when we didn't pick them up. If we were in a castle or a museum, they were getting belt buckles and belly buttons. And then finally it was time to come back home, and we enjoyed that. Our next station was Minot, North Dakota.